Hey Kerbonauts, this is Splooge McDuck here. Today we're going to start on a new career mode, and you'll get to see it from the beginning until the very end until I get tired of playing it and making spacecraft. So if you don't know much about the Kerbal Space Program, it's a pretty much a like sandbox. It can be a sandbox or a career-based game where you pretty much recreate a race. You see these little green men, but you recreate their entire space program from start until whatever you want to be the finish point of this. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right on into this. I've already turned my music down so that it doesn't kill you when you're listening to this. So we'll start new. Let's go ahead and name this guy. We'll name him Kerbal, and then we will pick the picture of Kerbin. That way, if an alien race ever finds one of our flags, they know what planet was there before. So let's hop right on into this. So this is one of the mods I've got going in the game right now, but it's the TAC life support. So we will play. How about we play with it on? Actually, let's play with it off. I don't have to worry about that in the game. So minimize or get rid of that. So first thing we're going to do is going to go to the astronaut complex, and we are going to recruit all the Kerbals we can, because a lot of Kerbals will die in the making of this space program. So we'll go ahead and start designing our very first ship. Now I'll go through all the little tabs here. First, you can see the command pods don't have much of selection. Your propulsion really have no selection. Nothing in control, very little in structural, nothing in aerodynamic, very little in utility, and very little in science. So let's go ahead and we'll make the most basic pod that we can. And we will actually do a little cheating here, because I know I've already started this on a different game, so I know kind of what to do. Now we have no solar panels, so we don't really have a way to make power while we're sitting on the pad. But we also need science really badly right now. So what we will do is we'll put an antenna on the back of this dude. We'll make let's put Jebediah in there first, and let's go ahead and launch this thing. Now we're not going to name this craft, because it's just a very simple craft that allows us to make power through the engine, and while we do a little bit of science here on the ground of Kerbin. Now we do need a little bit of science at least to get us started, so that we can start unlocking parts. So let's go ahead and do an EVA here with old Jebediah. He'll walk on a little launch pad here, and let's do take a surface sample. Let's keep that data. Let's do an EVA report. Let's keep that data, and then let's run back. We're not going to plant a flag because that would be absolutely worthless. There's a huge flag already flying right there. So let's get back in that spacecraft here, board again, and this should be all we need to do. So back to the Space Center. Again, that's a really quick and cheap way to start off, but we really need science. So there's the untitled spacecraft sitting there, and what we're going to do, we're just going to go ahead and recover the vessel. And you can see we got 11.4 science just from doing that really fast. So let's hit done. Let's back up. And let's go to R&D, and we will unlock a few parts so that we can start getting into orbit. So here's R&D. There's the first thing we're going to research, basic rocketry. The reason I'm wanting this is because of that stack decoupler. That is what you really need to get into orbit straight off the bat. Unless you just build some huge, insane contraption that's an SSTO, a single stage to orbit ship. You also get the mystery goo containment. You get a new fuel tank. You get 2 new fuel tanks, and let's go ahead and research that. Now we have 6 science left. We need 15 for the next unlock, but let's get something. We're going to go for something different. And what I really want to get is actually those new parachutes for backup parachutes. Now, when I build a lot of my spaceships, I always like to have redundant systems on board. I've learned the hard way that especially parachutes, you put redundant parachutes on board. Now, right now, I don't have Deadly Reentry mod on, but I will turn it on soon. I just wanted to leave it off until my space program got off the ground. So let's add this guy on here like that, and let's put a stack decoupler underneath this guy. Move the whole ship up, and we'll go ahead and stick a parachute on the top of this. What we'll also do here is we are going to, let me find it, another stack decoupler right there. That way we don't kill our astronaut that goes into space. Let's go ahead and toss an antenna on board. He's got one already. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick 4 mystery goo containers on board. We're going to stick them down here. Let's keep going down, and we'll add a few more fuel tanks here with another engine. Now what we're going to do is if you hold Alt and click on the part you want, the game will automatically copy that part. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick a whole bunch of extra engines right there like that. We're going to check our staging, make sure the staging is all correct. Okay, it is all correct. Let's check the crew. Let's not put Jebediah in there this mission. Let's actually put Bill in there this time around, because I'm afraid that something might go horribly wrong, and I really don't want Jebediah to die this soon in the game. So we'll check the other parts real quick. Is there anything else we can add? There's not really much else we can add. You can kind of see I got some flight engineer stuff from another mod, but it does nothing in the way of science, so that's not really going to help me out much. So that's pretty much all we can do. Now let's label this craft as, we'll say the, what are we going to say this? We'll call it the Krebin 1. There we go. So we'll go ahead and save this thing. So save, and let's launch. Hopefully this thing will make it all the way into orbit. Now if it doesn't, then it doesn't really matter, because it's not going to really kill us if it doesn't. Or it could actually kill Bill, but it's not going to kill us. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to observe the mystery goo here on the ground. Okay, cool. We got what we wanted here. So let's go ahead and transmit that and turn SAS on. And actually, let's revert that flight. Revert to launch. I actually made a mistake right there, guys. So I thought I had enough power for that, but in reality I did not have enough power for that. So observe mystery goo. Let's turn SAS on. We'll hold this for just a second. Keep the data. Throttle all the way up to 100%. Bill is ready to rock and roll. He's got a big old smile on his face down here, waving to the camera. And liftoff. So now let's go ahead and we will transmit. Review the container. Transmit the data. Transmitting. So now we got more than enough power for this to be transmitted. We're off. So let's throttle down a little bit because we're way past the speed. When you first launch the craft, you kind of want to keep him below about 150 meters per second as you pass through the thickest part of the atmosphere. Usually at about 6,000 meters, the atmosphere is thin enough where I go full throttle all the way up. There you can see another mod I've got going. It's the, I can't remember the exact name of it, but it adds clouds to all of the planets. So it's actually a pretty cool mod, and I highly recommend it. That's a beautiful view of Mun there in the background as the ship takes off. So let's go ahead and observe another mystery goo on our way up through the atmosphere. The goo jiggles and wobbles as the craft flies. Cool. Transmit. That's 2 goo containers. We'll do the next one in the high atmosphere, and we'll do the final one once we reach orbit. So throttle all the way up because we are outside of the thickest, we're getting outside of the thickest part of the atmosphere. And my craft begins to rotate. So I'm trying to maintain control of the ship here at the same time. And we are really rotating, so let's throttle down actually a little bit here so the SAS can control the ship. Still picking up speed, 800 meters per second. And I don't want to fly this way. Let's go the opposite direction here. So burnout on first stage, kill the throttle so we don't blow the ship up. Get ready to ignite the second stage. And there we go. So when you lift off, you ideally want to head in the 90-degree direction, because this is the direction that the planet Kerbin rotates, and you can actually use the planet's rotation to give you a speed boost into orbit. So let's go ahead and do another mystery goo container. So we're approaching, and we're getting close now to being in orbit. So the goo seems to be getting very cold now. That must be cold above Kerbin. Who would have thought it? So go ahead and transmit that value, that data. We'll get one more mystery goo container that we will get once we're in orbit. Now, if you haven't added any other mods that change like the size of Kerbin or anything else, usually you reach orbit, a stable orbit at about 2,200 meters per second, give or take a little bit. So we're actually racing towards that number. You can see we're at 73,000 meters. I'm going to kill the throttle. Now I'm actually going to switch to map view. And as you can see right there, apoapsis is at 174,000 meters. So we're going to go right here and make a maneuver node. It's 4 minutes out. And we are going to attempt to circularize this orbit. Well, not really circularize it, but we need to stay above 70,000 meters, because the Kerbal's atmosphere will begin to induce drag on you and begin to pull you back into the atmosphere below 70. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it at 56 because I'm going to do a little aerodynamic braking to bring us back into the atmosphere, just in case I use all of my fuel up by accident. Turn SAS off, move to the blue reticle on your nav ball down at the bottom center it as best you can. So we got the maneuver node. There's the ship right there, Krebin 1. As you can see, the altitude and velocity velocity is dropping, but altitude is increasing as we head towards our apoapsis, which is the highest point in the orbit. So if you push the right caret key, we can actually time warp a little bit. So let's speed this on up to about 50. And we will decelerate right here, bring time back to normal. Our burn, if you look at the very bottom, is in T minus 15 seconds, and it's going to last for an 11-second burn. Now, I don't know if we got enough fuel for this, but we will try it. We'll start burning at about 4 seconds. And burn. So we will do everything we can to get this bad boy into orbit. If not, then that's perfectly fine, because we can still come back into the atmosphere through aerobraking. So we got more than enough to put us in orbit here. So as you look, let me get rid of the maneuver node, close that thing out, and as you can see from above, we have an orbit now going all the way around the planet. Apoapsis, 174,000 meters, periapsis, 55,000 meters. So let's actually bring that periapsis up because we got plenty of fuel left over. Fire the engines for a few seconds, bring us up to 98,000 meters. So here we go. Let's go ahead and observe the last mystery goo container. The goo seems to have clumped into a sphere. It also appears to have become brittle. That's kind of cool. Let's keep the data for a few seconds. Let's go down here and grab Bill, and let's do an EVA really fast. So we'll go ahead and grab the side of the ship. What we're going to do here, we're going to do an EVA report. You've recorded your observations about the situation. Ooh, that's a pretty little picture behind there, behind Bill. So let's go ahead and get back into the ship. Let's go ahead and do a crew report while we're up here. It seems we're very much in space right now. The sky seems to be mostly below us. So keep the data. And is this all we can do? That is all we can do. So what we are going to do is I'm actually going to turn retrograde, and we are going to begin our descent back into Kerbin's atmosphere. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to turn the throttle on really low on the ship, since we don't have solar panels at this point. The engine has to make the electricity for us in order for us to send our data, our goo data, back to the planet. Now, that one parachute alone is not enough to parachute this entire craft safely back into the atmosphere and land safely. I've tried that and killed Jebediah in the process, so I've learned the hard way you don't do that. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to decouple this after we send our goo. So throttle up to the lowest amount possible and transmit the data. Cool. We are now transmitting the data. Well, that's our power looking like. Let's throttle up a little bit more. So the engine is still throttling. We're still transmitting. Cool. We are now done. Now we have data on board. We got review the stored data right there. So let's go ahead and this should be enough. So what we're going to do now is come on SAS. So we're going to turn like that. Where are we at here? So we are actually going to circle the entire planet. I'm going to let Bill be the first one to circle the planet Kerbin. Let's go ahead and burn a little bit so we don't lose too much speed in the atmosphere. I kind of want to come down on the day side. Whenever possible, whenever I go to another planet or moon, I always want to land in the day side. It just gives you a lot, it's a lot more scenic that way. Resources, we are almost out of electricity. So what we're going to do is we're going to burn this way a little bit. Let's get our electricity back. And I think we're good on electricity for now. Alrighty then. So run back to here. Are we still? I think we're good on electricity. So let's we'll time warp a little bit here and make sure we're good. Yep. So on around the planet we go. Cannot warp faster than 50 times below 120,000 meters. It doesn't really matter anyways. So as we come around the planet, let's go down to the ship again, and we will see a sunrise over the planet Kerbin. So there's the planet Kerbin. As you can see, I've got the city lights mod going. I think it's the same mod that does the lights and the clouds. So that's kind of cool. So let's time warp again. You can see the sun just now coming over the horizon of Kerbin. That's a pretty view that Bill gets to see. Let's go inside the ship and see what he sees. And he sees nothing but space. How exciting. So we'll time warp a little bit more here. Let's go on around. I'm actually going to try to land this thing back at the spaceport if I can. If not, then I'm not too worried about it. Where is the spaceport? Ah, it's obscured by clouds. That kind of sucks. It's going to make it hard to land exactly at the spaceport, and it's going into nighttime there as well. So let's hit this point right here. Now let's search for our retrograde. That's the prograde marker right there. It looks kind of like a crosshairs on a gun. And there's the retrograde. So let's go ahead, get to this right here. Turn SAS on and fire the engines. And we're going to try and bring our pathway into the atmosphere above the Kerbal Space Complex. So as you can see now, we're heading back into the planet. You can see our liquid fuel and oxidizer are draining rapidly. We may not have enough fuel for all of this. Yeah, I think we do have enough fuel for all of this. I'm not too worried. So throttle up a bit more and let's get this done faster. I'm very impatient, which is terrible for a space game. So now we're out of fuel. So undoubtedly, I don't think we're going to land at the Kerbal Space Center, but we will come in off the coast of it instead. So let's go back to this. This thing has served its purpose. We have used all of our goo containers. We have transmitted all of the data. We have our crew report still. We have our stored data from the EVA. So there's nothing left to do but to jettison the spent rocket stage. Cool. Now, Bill's on a one-way trip back to the planet now. So let's go ahead and, okay, let's kill that. And we will time warp. So as we're coming into the atmosphere, I'm going to turn SAS off. Time warp is at 1. As you can see, we're coming back into the atmosphere. And our Kerbin's atmosphere kind of dies out at about 69,000 meters, roughly. If you want a safe, stable orbit, stay above 70, and you should be perfectly fine. So let's turn the backside of the ship into the atmosphere. We've got clouds underneath us. We've already passed the Kerbal Space Center. You can kind of see right there, it's going to be actually just above the nose of our ship as we plummet back into the atmosphere. So the Kerbal Navy is going to have to come and rescue Bill. But that should be no challenge for them. You can see the big mountains coming above the clouds. I can't remember the name of those mountains, but they have been named by other players. Now you can see some aerodynamic heating, some of the red fire coming off the ship. Turn SAS off, and we'll let the aerodynamics kind of steer our ship for us. So as we come plummeting back into the atmosphere, let's see what Bill sees. Oh god, there's fire outside the window. It's getting warm in here. You can see the altimeter is dropping rapidly. Surface speed is now dropping very rapidly as well. So let's drop back out to the look at the map. Cool. Now if you press the C key, you can come back to this. It changes your views. So as we come plummeting through the atmosphere, I'll pop a chute at about 3,000 to 4,000 meters up. Until then, let's look at the clouds. They're kind of pixelated, aren't they? Oh well, they're still clouds. That's better than what the base game has right now. So as we're coming in, I don't know if you've noticed, but also in the background I have another mod called Chatterer. It kind of makes the... We'll go ahead and pop the chute. It adds kind of like their language in the background. It sounds like them talking to mission control. So that's a little bit extra added to the game that is actually fairly cool to have because you're no longer bored with complete radio silence in the game. So we're coming down. The parachute, I think, opens at about 500. You can actually change when the parachute opens. So it's opening at 500 for us. We're coming in. It's about to open. We're at 90 meters. And it opens. Cool. So Bill's on his way back to a safe landing off the coast of the Kerbal Space Center. There is not any land in sight for poor Bill. Nothing but clouds overhead, Bill. Hope you don't land in a storm. So where are we at on the map? We are pretty far off the coast. Quite far, actually. So let's time warp past all this. Come on down. As soon as we land, we'll recover our data. Almost there, 100 meters. Bill's doing great. Good job, Bill. You were the first Kerbal to orbit the planet. And we're down. So go to the Space Center and let's recover this flight so we can get our science from it. Okay, there we go. Krebin 1, recover the ship. There you can see we got a lot of data. We brought back a crew report, EVA report, and the recovery of a vessel returned from Kerbin orbit. Extra 10 science. So altogether we get 23 science on that mission. Not bad at all. Let's hit done. And let's go on back. Excuse me, guys. And let's go back to research and development. What do we want next? We got 37 science, so we can get anything in the game we want. There's the new chute that we can get. We can get a nose cone or a decoupler. The decoupler is actually really good because you can really put some staging into this thing. So I actually, yeah. Do I want the decoupler? What do I want here? So research, 18 science. We got 37. So we can actually do 2 of these. Which ones do I want? There's the new solid fuel booster. I'm not too keen on that one. And we'll get that engine later. So let's go ahead and we'll go for... Let's get the new parachute with the landing legs. What else we got? We got 22 science left. We can't get anything else here. What we got right there is 18 and 20, so we can still get either one of those. Let's go ahead and get the the radial decouplers. Research at 18 science. Great. Right there you can see another mod I've got. I do have the Cathane mod going because I do make refueling stations in deep space for my ships so I can get them around the system a lot easier. So up at the top left you'll see I'm looking at the technology tree right now. You can go to the science archives and you can actually see what you've brought back. So right there's our mystery good we got. Observation on the launch pad while flying at Kerbin, from Kerbin's upper atmosphere and from space near Kerbin. Recovery of a vessel, surface sample. So you can see all of it right there. Then you can break it down by planet as well as you go. And each planet has the moons that you can break it down as well. So let's go ahead and go back. We've unlocked some new stuff. So let's update our ship. And let's make this thing the new Krebin 2 ship. So the first thing we're going to do is actually I'm going to pull all of these off. Grab the ship and we'll lift it up a little bit higher and make this thing taller. So then I'm going to stack some more of these underneath. Like that. So then let's add some radial decouplers. Let's put 5 of these, or let's put 6 of these bastards on here, or these punks on here. So there's that right there. And then we will put our fuel tanks on there like so. We'll add a little more fuel as well. There we go. What else do we got? Let's see here. There's not much else we've got going. So that right there should be able to get us into pretty high orbit over Kerbin. I don't know how much more we will get in terms of science. Let's go ahead and put those things on top like that. Utility, we'll put our new chutes, because this time I'm actually going to bring all of this back. So what we're going to do is I'm going to grab these chutes. I'm actually going to stick 4 chutes on this section here. And then as well, I am going to take and put some legs as far down as I can go right there. And hopefully all of these chutes combined will be enough to slow us down. So we're going to do this one at 350. And then all of these will go off at 500. Let's make everything go at 500. So all the chutes open at once. We should be good to go there. So let's pop these guys up here and fix our staging a little bit. What is this here? Is that my central engine? That is the central engine. So fix that staging. There's all of that. Now there you can see the food containers. That's from the life support mod that you saw at the beginning, asking me if I wanted to use it in this game. I don't. Because frankly, that's going to be kind of difficult to do all of that and carry enough of that to take me to like Jewel. That'd be a lot of food containers to take with me. I mean, if you guys want, you can say so in the comments below, and I'll restart this career mode, and I'll actually enable the life support mod so that you get to see me taking all of that food with me to different places. So this would be the Krebin 2 ship. And then this one's a much more experimental ship, so let's not risk Jebediah. Let's put Newberry Kerman on there. I don't think I've ever seen him fly in anybody else's videos. So we're going to give Newberry his moment in the limelight. Save the ship, and let's launch. So after this launch, guys, I think I might actually cut this video short a little bit, because I think we're running at about 25 minutes here. And I really don't like doing super long episodes. So SAS on, we'll throttle up. We'll throttle up to about, I think it's about 70% right there. So say goodbye, Newberry. And we have liftoff. And we're going. Ever so slowly, we are coming off the pad. So I actually will throttle up a little bit more here. Let's go up to 100% temporarily. So we are on our way to deeper space. So throttle down. Let's see if we can keep us at about 115 meters per second for a little while. Sorry about that, guys. I'm going to get over a cold, so I'm sniffling every once in a while. So we're not actually going to do. Well, let's go ahead and do the observed mystery goo. But this time we're going to bring them all back to Kerbin. So you can see recovery 5.4 science. Keep that data. And we're passing through the clouds at about 4,000 meters. Our engines are still going strong. Let's throttle down a little bit more here and try to keep our speed steady. So we're about 70%. Wave into the camera there, Newberry. Good job. You are one brave Kerbal right now to be riding this experimental rocket. Looking outside, you can't see anything. Hey, turn to open. Surface speed 190. We're picking up speed again. So throttle back again a little bit more because we're still in the thickest part of the atmosphere right now. We should be coming out of that fairly soon, and then we'll go full throttle. Everything's getting small underneath. So this time, I'm actually going to see how much further we can go out in space. It'd be awesome if we can make it out to the orbit of Mun, but we shall see. This is actually a 3-stage ship, so it should be fairly easy. And we are outside of the thickest part of the atmosphere, so we'll go ahead and throttle all the way up. We'll start tilting a little bit over to the 90-degree mark. I usually start tilting at about 16,000 meters, where we just passed at. So I'm not going to tilt too far if I can stop the ship. They're out there. SAS back on. And we are now on our way into orbit. So at 22,000, we're going to tilt a little bit more. The ship is trying to roll above 90 degrees, and I really don't want it to. We're getting there. We are getting there pretty quick now. So we'll stop right there. First stage is spent. Separate all of those off. First stage separation is complete. And SAS off. Kill the engine. And what we are going to do now is we are actually going to move on along like this, and SAS back on, switch to map mode. 134,000 meters up, and that was just with the first stage separation. So we'll go ahead and we will get orbit. Let's see if we can make it out to the orbit of Mun. We can. Alright. 2,400 meters per second. I do not know if we can make that or not, but we are going to try it. So let's observe the next mystery goo. The goo seems to have clumped into a sphere. It also appears to become brittle. 7.7 science when we return that back to the surface of Kerbin safely. We got a 2-minute burn. I do not know if we have that much fuel, but we are going to try it. SAS back on. Let's time warp a little bit. Coming on up here. So we're going to start the burn. At about 1 minute, we'll start our burn. And 2, 1, burn. So the engine is on. And while we're at this, let's go ahead and do a crew report. It seems very much like we're in space right now. The sky seems to be mostly below us. 0 science, so reset the experiment. There's no point to do something that gives you no science at all. Let's throttle down a little bit, prepare for that engine to flame out. Alright, kill the throttle. So stage separation. Cool. Activate the engine. We are now go for the next stage of the burn. And throttle up. And let's see if we can get all the way out to the orbit of Mun. Now keep in mind, I do have to keep a little bit of fuel left on me so that when we hit periaps, or the farthest point in our orbit in this game, we have enough to burn retrograde to make sure that we re-enter the atmosphere safely. So we're burning, we might have enough fuel to actually reach the orbits of Mun. Now, this is not a lander. I didn't design this thing to land on Mun, so we're not going to be able to land. but we sure will be able to do some science from the orbit of Mun. So we're still burning. We still got quite a bit of fuel. We're approaching 2/3 of our fuel has been spent. I do not know if this is going to make it all the way out to the orbit or not, but we will soon find out. Newberry's nice and calm there. He's going to be the first Kerbal to reach out to the orbit of their largest moon. We are so close. Where are we at? We are actually on the escape velocity. I was not paying attention. That's what happens when you don't pay attention in this game. So we might have made a mistake just then. I don't know if Newberry can make it back. So right there, let's go ahead and burn this. What are we hitting now? Ooh, we are actually going to have an encounter with Minmus. So let's actually keep that. So we're actually doing better than going all the way to the Mun. We are actually going to go all the way to Minmus, which is the larger, or the smaller green moon that is the farthest away from Krebin, as you can see right there. So that's not bad for our second ship into space. We're already making it out to the orbit of Minmus. Alright, so let's go ahead and, what are we going to do here? So let's go ahead and time warp. We're going to time warp our way out here. So at 10,000 times, I think that's good enough for our time warp. So let's get rid of that maneuver node down there. Now, as you can see, when we pass by the moon of Minmus, it's actually going to incline our orbit significantly, but that's no big deal because we don't plan on keeping that orbit for very long. There's our apoapsis, our farthest point away from our orbiting body. Now you can see the encounter with Minmus is approaching very quickly. We shall kill the time warp. Let's go ahead and get the encounter there. So now you can tell that we are now going to be orbiting the moon of Minmus. So let's turn that off. I'm not going to kill the velocity at all, but I am going to observe a new mystery goo. The goo feels right at home here. 40 science for that recovery. Let's keep that. Well, certainly let's keep that. And we will go ahead and do the other mystery goo as well. It still feels right at home in the same location. Keep the data. So we're not going to transmit the data, so we're actually good to go over there. We don't have a lot of fuel left, so I'm not really going to attempt to enter orbit over Minmus, because I do not think we could do it with this fuel, and I really don't want to strand Newberry in deep space. So I'm going to time warp here a little bit closer, and let's see if we can see Minmus through the little window that Newberry is looking at. So let's kill the time warp right there. Where's the window? The window is actually right there on the dark side, and there's Minmus right there. IVA, let's see what he's looking at. Let's rotate the ship around. Ah, there it is. There's Minmus, and that's the view from Newberry. That's kind of a cool view right there. SAS comes on. Krebin 2 is the first ship to reach Minmus. Forget going to the Mun. They wanted to go to Minmus first. So this is a resounding achievement for the Kerbal space program. Let's go ahead and leave the sphere of influence right there. Let's go to retrograde, and we will actually burn the rest of our fuel off for this retrograde. SAS on, burn the fuel, drop us back into orbit. Let's change our camera view. Well, we might have had enough fuel. I'm actually going to save that fuel right there for the landing on Kerbin. So gears off right there. What we got here? So let's actually going to change the altitude on this chute. We're going to make it 450 meters. We'll make this one open slightly later than this because I forgot to take that decoupler off, and that chute opening at the same time these might actually tear this decoupler off and make my ship separate, and I would lose all of my goo containers. I really don't want that. So I'm actually going to lower that to 400 just because I'm a little bit paranoid. So we're good to go. So let's go ahead and we shall do an EVA. Go ahead and grab back on there. And let's do an EVA report. You've recorded your observations about the situation. 8 signs. Keep the data. Reboard the ship. Do a crew report while we're out here. It's very round. Recovery. Let's keep that data as well. Alright, now we are ready to rock and roll. Let's go back and land. Try to land on the ground. Now I'm not going to quick save this. If it crashes, it crashes, and I'll just repeat this flight off camera when I'm not recording, so it doesn't really waste your guys' time. So we're actually coming in on one of the right on the edge between the nighttime and daytime sides. So we're coming in here pretty quick. What we got going here? Ooh, that's coming up fast. 50. All right. Now what we're going to do, we're going to turn the ship into the retrograde to minimize the aerodynamic forces that might tear the ship apart. So we are actually flying in here really fast. Oh man, look at the fire coming off this thing. Look outside. Ah, more fire. Look out, Newberry. You might get a little warm in there. So we're actually going to fire the engine at full throttle. Let's kill that for a second. We're still coming in really fast. And I actually made a boo-boo right there. Oh, there goes all of our goo. That sucks. So I'm actually going to I'm going to redo this flight. Poop. That sucks.